Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? What would you say this week has been the most ground-shaking storyline?
Oh, I mean, it's the offense overall. And look, for 2 years we've heard people blame the play calling and Pete Carmichael Jr., and it's always really hard to pinpoint that. But I think what has galvanized everyone around that topic this week is this particular game against Tampa Bay. It was so clear that their offensive approach wasn't working from start to finish. So that really put the focus on him. But obviously it was Derek Carr's poorest performance as well. Chris Olave, 1 catch for 4 yards. I mean, this is an offense we expected so much more from. So that was pretty eye-opening how little they were able to produce this week, even more than some of the more explainable offensive flops over the recent years.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
How much culpability do you think Pete Carmichael has here?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's undeniable because they have the playmakers they wanted now. I mean, they have the quarterback. Obviously, he had the shoulder injury. But that wasn't, I mean, it's clearly not the only problem in this game. And they have such good playmakers that that were just ineffective. It just made offense look so hard. In recent years, he hasn't been getting the job done. And as I said on the show, even in Sean Payton's last year. So whatever this offense is, it wasn't like Sean Payton left and the offense broke. This is now the 3rd straight year of it. But in other years, their quarterback was injured. Their offensive linemen were injured. They had receivers you never heard of. Michael Thomas was missing an entire season. Now that we're seeing it not work with the elements in place, it's hard to defend coaching when you see that.
Yeah. Hey, when you look at this week, and we've talked a good bit about the injury report this week, and it looks like, Mike, they're getting a little healthier. What stands out the most? What's the most significant news on the injury report for this week?
Well, I would say it's on the New England side because they lose their, great edge rusher and Matthew Judon and their first-round draft pick and Christian Gonzalez at cornerback. That should provide an opportunity for the Saints to take advantage, but we saw that not really help them in Green Bay a couple weeks ago. But that's the most significant news on that end. As far as the Saints go, I mean, I think you're right. Even if Paulson Adebo comes back, I think you should have a little faith in how Isaac Yadam's been playing. It would help to get Juwan Johnson back. He might miss another game after he missed 2 days of practice. But Foster Moreau is back, so they won't be as thin at tight end. Cesar Ruiz is back, so they should have their projected starting 5 offensive line. I mean, injuries won't be the reason.
Mike, I think your phone cut out right there. You said injuries won't be the reason, and then we lost. Are you still there?
Yeah, injuries won't be the reason for any lack of success.
Got it. Mike Triplett is with us. He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett, neworleans.football. Our convos every Thursday are brought to you by Benny's Car Wash as we look ahead for the Saints and the Patriots this weekend. Mike, do you have, the last time the Saints went to New England was 2021. They blew the doors off the Patriots. They were dominant. Is there any reason to believe this week this team can go to New England, that New England team, and replicate that to some degree and kind of get right?
Yeah, I mean, New England isn't New England anymore. And actually, I was listening to, Bill Simmons does his national podcast, and he's like a diehard Patriots fan, and he was talking about what the line should be for this game, and he was saying something that sounded very familiar if you follow the Saints or were at the game this last Sunday, that, if their offense struggles early, the fans are immediately going to be booing the Patriots, and they're going to be calling for Bailey Zappi to replace Mac Jones, and he actually thought it would be a detriment for New England to be playing at home. So that's what that team is dealing with right now, and now their defense is banged up. I don't like the matchup because I think Bill Belichick is sort of the master at taking away what you do well on offense. He's made his reputation on that. He just saw Tampa Bay take away the Saints' deep speed. Obviously, he's going to take that away too and say, try to beat us another way. And the Saints are going to have to prove they can come up with something that they haven't been able to come with so far this season. But, I mean, first team to 20 points probably wins this game. So if they can fix it, it's not like they have to go win in Buffalo this week.
Yeah. Total's 39.5 on this game. I mean, they're expecting.
It's startlingly high for me.
I mean, it's not actually. You're probably not wrong there. It feels like if someone gets to 20, they'll win. It's funny that we've gotten this deep into the conversation. I haven't even asked you about the starting quarterback who's playing with a bum shoulder. So let me ask you about the starting quarterback playing with a bum shoulder. How much do you think that is actually affecting Derek Carr?
I mean, it can't help, obviously, right? But I'm not sure that that's high on my list of what went wrong the other day. He missed an obvious throw to Chris Olave that he just plain missed, and then the very next throw he threw past 60 yards in the air that was placed pretty well, maybe a second too late. So I don't think it's an arm strength issue, and I really don't think he threw to Alvin Kamara 13 times because he couldn't throw it down the field. I think that was based on what Tampa Bay was doing defensively, which was just very clearly, we've seen the only offense that works for you guys this year is getting it deep to Chris Olave and getting it deep to Rashid Shaheed, and we're not going to let you do that in this game. So they settled for that. They need to have a better plan than that this week. But, now that he's another week removed from it and he's had an extra day of practice this week, I don't think that should be, it's got to hurt a little bit. Maybe it's going to mess with his rhythm and timing a little bit, but it's not my number one area of concern in this game.
What is?
It's just that they seem to have no answers. I mean, even when things were going pretty well in week one, and we were talking about how creative they were with how they used Olave and Shaheed, they only scored 16 points, scored one touchdown. And then they went to Carolina, and it was like, it was a pretty stale offense, but they didn't really need to do anything creative. They were winning the whole time. And then we saw them, not be able to score a single point in the second half at Green Bay after Carr got hurt. We saw them not be able to score a single touchdown at home against Tampa Bay. It's just really concerning that this is a team that doesn't have great answers right.
Mike, that's the thing. Like, I look at the personnel offensively, and they should be better, which to me points to two things. It's Pete Carmichael, and it's your quarterback's ability to function within Pete Carmichael's offense. Like, I don't know how it can be anything else, but nobody seems to, within the organization, seems to want to say that. So why not? I mean, you were around this team all the time.
Right. Well, I will say this. I will say two things. Up until this past week, there were other explanations, and it was mainly the offensive line. And that doesn't exonerate Pete Carmichael, doesn't exonerate coaching that their offensive line was failing. But to me, that took a slight, focus away from play calling and game planning, and it was, all right, you have to figure out how to give these offensive linemen some help because they can't protect. Like they were trying to call run plays, and I think I said this on last week's show, they had 13 first down runs last week, and 10 of them went for a yard or less. They couldn't run the ball. And then it's second and long, and it's third and long for Derek Carr, and they can't protect him, so he's getting sacked and he's getting hurt. And that's how the offensive line was functioning in the first 3 weeks. So they might have had great plans that they just could not get to. But that was not the case in this game. They had 3rd and 4s and 3rd and 1s and 3rd and 5s, and the offensive line was giving Derek Carr some time to throw in this last game. And it definitely looked like they had the wrong plan and they had the wrong play calls. And it was 3rd and 4, and there was nobody running a 5-yard route. And so that's why it's all taken center stage more this week than the rest of the season. But I will say I don't think anyone has shied away from it. I think, look, Dennis Allen is still speaking confidently, and he didn't fire Pete Carmichael or strip him of play calling duties, but he acknowledged, yes, that is a huge problem we have to fix. And Pete Carmichael spent 10 minutes saying, yeah, I'm doing a bad job and I need to correct it, and I need to be better, and I need to do that better, and I need to do this better. And Alvin Kamara wore his heart on his sleeve, and Olave and Thomas and Carr are all saying, we're not doing a good job. So some of the players are saying it's execution and not just play calling, and that is true. You can't be this bad if they're not all failing.
Yeah.
But nobody's hiding that. Like, everyone nobody's acting like those questions were unexpected this week.
He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett, neworleans.football. Our chats every Thursday brought to you by Benny's Car Wash, bennyscarwash.com. If I asked you, Mike, if I look big picture, this team is still 2-2, and they were a blown 3-score fourth quarter lead away from being 3-1 right now. So big picture, I could argue, man, it ain't that bad, but it feels much worse. So give me the reason for optimism, though, moving forward with a team that's 2-2 and still has everything conceivably to play for.
They don't have an opponent on the schedule that they can't beat. I mean, that's the reason for optimism. I mean, the formula for the Saints hasn't changed. They need to have a top 5 defense, which they're capable of having, and the 20th best offense in the league, and they can win this division. I mean, that's not too high to aim. I mean, all these playmakers are still the playmakers. I mean, if it's as easy as firing a coach, and you fix everything, it could also be just as easy as, well, this coach who's been around the NFL for a long time might be able to figure out something that works. This quarterback might be able to figure out something that works. The offensive line has improved, and we thought that was going to be the detriment to the team. So it's not that tall of an order to say, can't you guys just be a pretty good offense? Can't you win some games 24-17 or 20-13? That shouldn't be that hard to do against their schedule. But I think the reason for panic right now is the opponents were not the reasons they lost these games. They should have sleptwalked their way through that win over Green Bay in the second half, and they couldn't do that. And then at home against Tampa Bay was supposed to be a pretty easy game, and they got blown out.
Saints are on the road in New England this weekend, and they're at Houston. And as hot as it sounds, as well as C.J. Stroud's playing right now, that's no layup. So see if the Saints can get it right this weekend. Make sure you're getting all your Saints coverage there at neworleans.football with Mike and the crew over there. neworleans.football. He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett with us here every Thursday, courtesy of Benny's Car Wash. Mike, we always appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.